Hello everyone, welcome to all of you. So I have started new series of NCERT class 12 biology, and this is helpful for your NEET exam, and it will be also helpful for the NET exam also, because somehow some topics are correlate with the directly NET exam, and for the higher classes examination too. All right, so in this chapter we are going to discuss about reproduction in organism. Especially we'll see about asexual reproduction. And chapter number 2 there will be reproduction in flowering plant, and upcoming chapter 3 and 4 will be having look on reproduction in human being and reproductive health respectively. All right, so see, first let's have a look on introductory part, that each and every organism can live only for a certain period of time, for example few days to few years, and this may be varies in all the animals. See, this parrot has a lifespan about 140 year, and this crow has a lifespan about 15 year, and crocodile has a lifespan about 60 years. So it may be varies from species to species or organism to organism. Rest of the thing I want you to fill and let me know in comment box. And what would be a definition of this lifespan? It is the period from the birth to the natural death of an organism represent its lifespan. And you should know one thing, that organisms are not necessarily correlated with their size. For example, this parrot and crow both have same size, right? Although crow has a lifespan about 15 year and this parrot has a lifespan about 140 year. And again, this banyan tree and mango tree also both have a same size, although mango tree have a small lifespan, while this banyan tree live up to some hundreds years. But whatever the lifespan, death of every individual organism is certainty. No individual is immortal except single-celled organism. Why? Because see, this amoeba, it is single-cell organism, and they are reproduced by binary fusion. They are reproduced by binary fission. So you can see here that one amoeba convert into two new daughter amoeba, and again this amoeba will convert into two new daughter amoeba, right? So there will be no any death, natural death. That's the reason this unicellular organism are immortal. And you can give any reality or any reason that plant and animal species have existed on earth for several thousands of years, and what would be a reason behind it? Yes, it is reproduction, right? And so reproduction is defined as a biological process in which an organism gives rise to young one offspring similar to itself. There would be some biological diversity, we'll see later on. So this is the common definition of reproduction, right? The offspring grow, mature, and turn produce new offspring. Again, this is common thing. It is common to all. Thus, there is a cycle of birth, growth, and death, except single cell organism. So you must know about it. And upcoming chapter we'll see principle of inheritance and variation. In that chapter we'll see that genetic variation is created and inherited during reproduction. How? We'll see in detail in chapter number 5. So there is a large diversity in the biological world, and each organism has evolved its own mechanism to multiply and produce offspring, and just because of this reproduction process. So some factors are affected on this reproduction process, like habitat, internal physiology, and several other factors like temperature, season, etc. So when offspring produce a single cell parent with or without the involvement of gamete formation, the reproduction, it is called as a asexual reproduction, in which two parents are not participating. And when two parents are participating, for example male or female, or two opposite sexes are participating, then it will be a sexual reproduction. So here is some basic difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. And because we will see, because this whole unit is about this reproduction, that's the reason I'm not going to discuss about, although you can pause this video and you can see what kind of difference between them if you are curious to know right now, although we are going to discuss about it later. So let's have a look on asexual reproduction. as I stated earlier, in which only single individual parent it is capable of producing offspring, so it is called asexual reproduction. And it is common thing, right? Because it will be identical. And you can say it is clone also. Why? Because during asexual reproduction, meiosis it is not occurring, and that's the reason crossing over it is not occurring, and that's why there will be no any diversity in asexual reproduction. If you want to see about this concept, so I will drop one link of my video in a description box, so you can see, kindly go for that, and you can see meiosis and mitosis, so from where you can get concept about this, right? So in asexual reproduction, cell division is itself a mode of reproduction, right? We have stated earlier in case of amoeba. So now let's have a look about various type of asexual reproduction. First type of asexual reproduction, it is fission. There are so many subtype of this fission. First one, it is irregular binary fission, because you can see that amoeba can divide from the any direction. That's the reason it is irregular binary fission. And why binary? Because one cell divided into two. That's the reason. And longitudinal binary fission, in which you can see this euglena. First there will be one cleavage furrow will be formed, and it will divide this longitudinal direction. That's the reason it is known as a longitudinal binary fission. And third type is transfer binary fission. You can see here in a paramecium, it is dividing transfer by this transfer direction. That's the reason it is known as a transfer binary fission. And fourth type is multiple fission. So amoeba especially show this multiple fission, in which during adverse condition, amoeba will form cyst surround it, and first karyokinesis, and then karyokinesis will followed by cytokinesis. So karyokinesis means cell nuclear will divide, and then cytoplasma will divide during favorable condition. So this process it is known as a encystment. And because in the form of some small amoebae or small spore, that's the reason this process it is known as a sporulation. And there is one other organism, plasmodium. So plasmodium also shows multiple fission. We will see later on in chapter number 8, life cycle of plasmodium. Now let's have a look on budding. So you can see here that small bud it is forming outside of the yeast cell, and later on this bird will divide from the parental one, and it has a capability to form a new yeast or new parental cell. One another animal in which bird it is birding process is showing, and it is hydra. You can see here this hydra, and bird will separate from the this parental hydra, and it has a capability to form a new hydra. All right, so let's have a look on third type, and it is fragmentation. And because in this process body is dividing in small species, let's say in this hydra body is dividing in small pieces, in small fragment, and that's the reason this process known as a fragmentation. And because they are reproduced by this process, that's the reason this is fragmentation process. So each and every fragment has capability to produce new one. And planaria also shows fragmentation. You can see the body is dividing, and each and every fragment has capability to produce new one, as I stated earlier in the case of this hydra. So let's have a look on fourth type. It is spores. You can see here there are some organism, for example chlamydomonas. This is motile spore of chlamydomonas, and this is conidia of penicillium. This is penicillium, and this is conidia. So these are the pore, and again gammules found in sponge. So these are the gammules, and this gammule will separate from the parental body, and it has a capability to produce a younger one. And again in both these spore they have a capability to produce a new organism. And also in this case chlamydomonas, spore of this chlamydomonas has capability to produce new chlamydomonas or new younger one. A look on vegetative propagules in angiosperm plant. So already we have learned about this. And here one question it is asking to you, what do you think, that is vegetative reproduction also type of asexual reproduction? Yes, because in this case also two parents are not participating. That's the reason it will form clone type. You can see here, uh, by this process like runner, rhizome, sucker, tube, offset, bulbs, through which they are vegetatively reproduced. For example, you can see the eyes of this potato and the adventitious root or rhizome of this ginger, and bulb of this agave, and leaf buds of this bryophyllum, and offset of this water hyacinth. So each and every part of this whole structure have capability to produce new younger one. That's the reason this is asexual reproduction, and again two parents are not participating in such type of reproduction, right? So I have already discussed about this, although you can pause the video and read the content. And about this offset, NEET had asked question in 2018, and that was offset is divided by meiotically, A, B mitotically, C parthenocarpy, and D parthenogenesis. So but obvious, offset is divided by mitotically, right? Because there in asexual reproduction, there is no meiosis, and that's the reason there is no genetic diversity. And all asexual reproduction, all organism divide by mitotically. So it is common logic, right? And you must have heard about the scourge of water bodies, or about the terror of Bengal. And actually, this nothing but the aquatic plant known as a water hyacinth. See, this is terror of Bengal, and it has a capability to cover whole lake or all water bodies, and it drain oxygen from the water, which lead to death of fishes, because it will not allow oxygen to dissolve in the water because it is covered whole lake. That's the reason. And actually it is interesting to know that this plant was introduced in India because of its beautiful flower and shape of leaves. See how beautiful flower is this, and that's the reason it is introduced in India. Now see, as I stated earlier, only those who possess simple organization, they are showing asexual reproduction. Although algae and fungi also they have a simple organization, but in some conditions they are showing sexual method of reproduction. For example, just before the onset of adverse condition, actually they are get to know before some time of adverse condition, and that's the reason they will form some type of gamete, like male gamete and female gamete, and it will fuse to form zygote. And actually this zygote has a capacity to survive in such adverse condition, and whenever the condition will be favorable, so it will divide meiotically, and again it will form some spore, and this spore has capability to produce whole new plant. Although we'll see, and this is the life cycle of chlamydomonas. Earlier I have stated the example about which, although we will see later on in detail about all these things, right? So obviously, since the formation of this structure does not involve two parents, so that's the reason the process involved, it is asexual, or it is known as asexual reproduction. So I hope this video may be helpful to you, and I want to inform one thing, that I have started this new series, so you can kindly go for the old lecture for class 11, right? So if you like this video, so kindly subscribe this channel and share with your friends. Thank you very much.